Casinos. Everyone who's been to a casino has the same dreams. Win it big, get the bag, and live it up in Cancun for the rest of their lives. The result? American citizens lose $40 billion at casinos every year. That in itself should be enough to drive people off. But despite that, the annual revenue of casinos has only grown. So, what's the actual psychology behind it? Chapter 1. House Edge. Not this house edge, but the term describing built-in statistical advantages that casinos have over their players. To put it simply, over a long enough period of time, each game is designed to pay out slightly less than you're paying in, allowing these casinos to accrue a small, incremental advantage. Consider roulette. People tend to lean towards betting on red or black. If you get it right, you win back double what you bet. If you get back double what you paid, that means you need a 50% win probability to break even, right? So, when you know, this bastard is here specifically to skew those odds. The green tile leaves you with only a 47.3% probability of victory, leaving that extra 2.7% as the edge for the casino to profit off of. And in the States, there's actually 2 of them, leaving the edge at 5.26%. Scammers. It's a small enough number that you don't really notice until you do the math, but over the course of thousands or hundreds of thousands of games, the law of large numbers will eventually kick in, and that's where the casinos make the big bucks. House edge is variable. For example, blackjack has a significantly lower edge at about 0.5% to 1%, which is attributed to the house always busting after players do. On the other hand, slot machines will often have up to 10% edge. Chapter 2. Near miss. When people lose 10 times in a row, they'll often decide it's best to head home. Unless they're straight addicts or maximally diluted, they'll need something to keep them inside. One of the most popular options is the near miss effect. Near miss is a well-documented phenomenon wherein an outcome that is perceived as a near win feels more like an actual win to your brain. Studies have shown that after near misses, gamblers are much more motivated to continue gambling, even if it's no better for them than a loss. And of course, that's perfect for casinos. In both cases, they get your money, but if your brain was telling you to get the f out before you bet the house, you wouldn't have the opportunity to give them your life savings. They're far more fond of you feeling like, oh my god, you were so close, you gotta give it another go. And suddenly, whoa, where'd all my money go? Chapter 3. Interior design. If you've seen my video on shop psychology, you'll already know some of the major ways that stores try to keep you inside. One of the classics is to ensure there are no windows so you lose track of time more easily, and casinos also employ this clever tactic. But there's an even more insidious technique that is found only in casinos. The margins on gambling are so high that casinos will frequently offer things like free drinks to people on the gambling room floor. You would expect these drinks to keep cutting into their profits significantly, but as it turns out, it's an extremely effective tactic for both keeping people inside and bringing new gamblers in. Most especially because alcohol inhibits people's decision making and makes them far more amenable to the idea of losing a couple $100 clicking a glowing button for 15 minutes. Even if they may seem dubious, these techniques, along with clean and expensive looking decor and inviting lights, can often double the revenue of a casino. Chapter 4. History of casinos. That's all we have to say about the malevolent malpractices of casinos, but hearing how horribly scummy and predatory they are, you might find yourself wondering, who came up with this idea in the first place? Surely that guy's rich as hell. Well, tragically, the guy who invented gambling has since passed away, about 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. In that time, people used 4-sided dice carved from bones. Now, these weren't fully fledged casinos yet, but these were the first signs of gambling that we found. People seem to flock to games of chance, and they've been doing it since Mesopotamia and through the histories of ancient Rome, China, and Egypt. Over the centuries, each has evolved and given it their own cultural flair. For example, the first card games appeared in Asia, but the first tried and true casino was actually built in France. But, like, the green France. In Italy, most significantly in Venice, authorities had the bright idea to regulate gambling, which was previously played only informally on the streets. This formal access was initially restricted only to the aristocracy or particularly wealthy, so if you decide to show up with one, just a second, Venetian soldi in your pocket, well, better luck in a couple hundred years. In the US, early gambling establishments existed in the early 19th century primarily in typical Western saloons where cowboys would bet their money while drinking and traveling. Gambling truly took off when Nevada, who could have guessed, was the first state to legalize it, and from there it spread like wildfire. So now you know that to make $1 million, you should just bet it all on red. Or maybe not. But science has shown that subscribing to my channel improves the odds of winning it big at the slots from 1 in 100 to 10 in 1,000. Anyways, write down in the comments what other video in the Moneyverse you would like to see. Until next time.